Hey folks, Joe Valley here, one of the hosts of the Quiet Light podcast and a partner at Quiet Light, an online business brokerage firm, as you know. I'm also a serial entrepreneur, having built, bought, and sold a half dozen of my own companies, and I've been self-employed since 1997. I joined the Quiet Light team in 2012, and since then have sold nearly 100 million in transactions for Quiet Light clients. And I'm just one of 11, it's 12 advisors now. We had another serial entrepreneur join us just last month. Today's episode is brought to you by Quiet Light, a small to middle market entrepreneur-led M&A firm focused on online businesses only. Everyone on the team has built, bought, or sold their own online business and now act as advisors to other entrepreneurs seeking an eventual exit. Now, before I introduce our guest today, I would like to give a big shout out to Ecom Law Group. If you need legal counsel, Ecom Law Group is a boutique law firm that specializes in assisting entrepreneurs and investor groups with buying and selling highly successful online businesses. Those include physical product, drop shipping, lead generation, and SaaS businesses. They've been on both sides of at least a dozen, dozens of Quiet Light transactions, and not a single one has failed to close. Go to ecomlawgroup.com to learn more. Now, today we're joined by someone who has built, bought, and sold his own online businesses as well. He sold one through Quiet Light in the spring of 2019. He and his partner, who also sold his business through Quiet Light, it feels like a decade ago, run the EcomCrew podcast and EcomCrew Premium. These are online communities that give you the training and mentorship you need to scale your existing brands. And they do lead by example, sharing their own brand successes and the occasional failure. Today's guest is the one and only Mike Jackness, one of the good guys helping others succeed in this ever-changing online world. Mr. Jackness, how are you today?
I'm good, man. You one-up me, though. You quit your job in 1997. I quit mine in 2004. I don't usually find people that have been doing it for that long, but I guess it just says that we're old.
It's old. Well, the gray chin on my hair, on my temples, everywhere else says that I'm old. So it is.
I got it in my beard. I haven't shaved in a few days, and that's where you start to see it first, is down there. So making me look older.
I have photos of when I first started brokering back in 2012. And for some reason, I thought it was cool to have a goatee. I had a little goatee on my chin. It was brown. If I did it now, it would be completely
all
white.
gray. Mine's salt and pepper, I guess. So.
Mine's more pepper than, no, I guess it's more salt than
more
pepper
salt.
these days.
Yeah.
It
So happens.
It's been a crazy year in 2020. Guys.
It has been a crazy year. I mean, I don't know that anyone's like, oh yeah, what an awesome year 2020 has been. So it's been a challenge. Obviously the thing that keeps me grounded is I'm just kind of whining. My challenges are all kind of bitching and complaining versus lots of people are having real problems. They're getting kicked out of their homes, or they lost their jobs, or they're right on the edge of all of that. And so my things are, I can't go out to dinner, or I miss going to concerts or something, or traveling, or all these different types of things. And so that keeps it in perspective, and I try to keep myself grounded and realize that it could be much worse. It can always be worse, right? So
yeah, there's being in the online world that we live in. We've got very, very little to complain about. Of course, we both know people that have seen their businesses really suffer because of this pandemic. And on the flip side, we've seen people that have seen their businesses really scale because of just the overall online focus and on online transactions.
It's been a year of winners or losers. There's not a lot of in between. We're one of the few that are in between because we're a diversified company. And so we've had some stuff go crazy up and some stuff go crazy down. But if I was only in one e-commerce business and it was like a travel business or something like that, it probably would be a bad year. And if I was in only one business and it was like a home gym or something like that, you're probably crushing it.
So between you and Dave Bryant, folks, your business partner, how many different e-commerce businesses do you run? And I guess we can count EcomCrew and EcomCrew Premium as e-commerce businesses, right?
So that would be 5 total then. I have Ice Wraps, Wow Baby, and we also own tactical.com. Obviously, Tactical's been a big winner this year. And Dave owns off-roading gear. He just has the one brand. And we also run EcomCrew. And we're in the middle of a transaction right now in due diligence that should be closing within the next couple of weeks. So we'll be taking on another brand ourselves, starting here in a couple more weeks.
Now, I know when we sold Colorit was a big part of what you talked about on EcomCrew and how you shared your experiences with email marketing, sending traffic to Amazon from outside sources or things of that nature. Do you do that with some of the other brands that you have now, or is that what this new purchase is going to be about?
We do. I mean, we're constantly very transparent about what we're up to. I mean, Ice Wraps and Wild Baby are kind of pretty exclusive Amazon brands. There's not a whole lot of stuff that we're able to really do to move the needle off of Amazon. I'm always been a big believer in trying not to stick a square peg in a round hole. I mean, so even though we've been very successful with email marketing or Facebook ads, which I think are great revenue drivers, they're not going to work for those brands. They don't make sense. Tactical is a little bit different story. I mean, so we own tactical.com. We've set that up as a content site. We have 10x our traffic this year, which is pretty exciting. And it's starting to really move the needle for our e-commerce brand. So we're talking a lot about, getting outside traffic in a white hat way and sending that off to Amazon to be able to compete with the changing landscape, because it's just going to continue to get more and more difficult.
So tactical.com is a content site, and people that visit it are ordering your products on Amazon.
Right.
Did it start out as strictly a content site, with affiliate revenue? Was that the purpose, or you always had your Amazon brand as well?
No, I mean, it's a content site with affiliate revenue. And so our sister brand is called Tac9er. That's our tactical brand. And so the whole idea, I mean, tactical.com from day one when we started it, the idea is, okay, we're going to create a bunch of content in the tactical space. Then we niche down into just prepping and survivalism. That's like what we're really focusing on. And so tactical is all about those two subsets of the tactical space. And 90-something% of the content is not about gear review or trying to sell people stuff. It's just more about ranking and getting eyeballs and getting backlinks and having a long-term SEO plan and thought process. And then sprinkled in between all that is gear review stuff. So like, what are the best tactical gloves? What's the best tactical flashlight? Best fire starter? These types of things that you would use as a prepper or survivalist in your bug out bag, or to be prepared for things if there's power outage and things of this nature. And so that stuff is starting to rank as well and sending traffic off to our Amazon listings.
No shortcuts, in other words, right? You're not just doing a product review site and hoping for traffic. You're developing good quality content, and over the long run, and Google's hopefully going to reward you.
And they have been. Like I said, we're up 10x this year, and I think we can do it again next year. So it's exciting.
When did the rise start? Did it start in March and April? Was it mostly because of the pandemic, or a combination of the hard work you've been putting in over the years as well?
Yeah, it's definitely both. I mean, the rise, yeah, we definitely saw a rise in February, March, April. Like, you can go back and look at our traffic. But when we look at Ahrefs, which is a tool that helps you with SEO stuff, our rankings also were going up at the same time or throughout the course of the year in terms of what are we ranking for certain terms. And so that obviously has helped disproportionately as well, like in a good way, because we've gone from like number 30 to number 8 for a lot of terms, or number 8 to number 2 or something like that. So now we're ranking in the top 3 for things like survival food or emergency food supply, things that get searched quite a bit. And so it's bringing us a lot of traffic.
Let's talk about one of the things that you talk about a lot with your folks that subscribe to EcomCrew Premium. It's in alignment with what we're talking about now, and that's driving or using outside traffic to boost your Amazon rankings. Mm-hmm. Is that, it's a tactic that I've heard about for years, but how does it work? How well does it work? How long does it take to really impact revenues and traffic on the Amazon side? Or ranking,
yeah, I mean, our plan is a long-term plan. So we've been at this for about 2 years now, working on tactical.com. Really, this last year has been the year that we've put like all in effort into it. So the first year and a half-ish or whatever, we weren't really doing that much with it. We had a content writer just kind of putzing around and putting some stuff up there. But last year around this time, we were doing our 2020 goal setting, and we decided we're gonna put a lot of effort into this. We're gonna add more people. We're gonna focus on it. We're gonna be talking about this at all of our meetings, and it's made a big difference. But most people are looking for something that works right now. They're looking for a magic bullet or some magic pixie dust to shortcut things. And so what that leads people to do,
they should give up on that. It's not going to happen, right?
Well, I think they should give up on it, because what they're doing is they're spending their time. They're spending over the course of a year. They're spending more time than we are, but they're spending it by like reading forums or groups and looking for the super URL or the search find buy thing that you can do, or some type of gimmick that works right now. And that gimmick is always different. Like every month or every quarter, there's some new gimmick. And at the end of the year, you've spent more time. You're going in circles. You're trying to chase this magic thing. At the end of the year, you really have nothing necessarily to show for it, because the gimmick goes away. What we're trying to create is something that's not gimmicky, that's never going to go away. And Google's been around for 20 years, and people have been searching the internet for an equally long amount of time. This isn't going to go away. People are still going to be typing in queries. Google is going to continue to be number one for the foreseeable future. And if you have good content and provide good value to the people who are looking for this stuff, now you've built something. You got sustainable, almost like monthly recurring revenue in a way of inbound traffic. You're building your email list. You're creating assets that are worth something. And when you go to sell your business, it's going to sell at a much higher multiple and go quicker, because people love stuff like this versus a bunch of shady stuff.
I couldn't agree more. You know that. I'm all about doing it the right way. The thing I've been saying lately is people want to sell their business for maximum value, and I think that's great. But the way to get to that is to not think about yourself and what you're going to get at the end of the day. You just simply build a great business that's going to be sustainable for the long run and be taken over by a great buyer. The end result is you get maximum value for that business. Mm-hmm. So let's talk specifically about, you've got the people that are searching for information, and they go to Google and they go to they find tactical.com where you're ranking. And then somehow you're leading them to your Amazon store for Tac9.
Yep.
Are you sending them to specific product pages? Are you sending them to the seller store? Can you talk about that a little bit and where you send them?
Yeah, we send them to the product pages. And so our long-term strategy basically is to create an unfair advantage, right? To give us an edge. Anything in life where you can have an edge is good, but to do it in an ethical and white hat way. And so what we're doing is we're thinking, okay, we might want to launch a fire starter, for instance, which is actually going to be a product we're going to do in 2021. Well, rather than the traditional way, which we've always done it, which is okay, well, let's design this fire starter and launch it and kind of hope and pray that it does well. And we give ourselves maybe a 60, 70% chance of success because we have a good launch strategy and we feel like we'll do well just because we've been successful in the past. Well, with this strategy, what we do is we think, okay, well, we might want to launch a fire starter, but instead of doing it in a way where we're kind of taking on some risk, let's go buy all the competitors' fire starters that are out there. Let's say 10 of them. Test them all out. We'll take pictures. We'll take some video content. We'll actually test them all out and experience for ourselves what's good and bad about these products, what we can do to improve them, and really get an intimate knowledge of what makes a good fire starter versus another one. There's actually quite a bit of little idiosyncrasies between one fire starter to another, and we learn this by actually going through and doing all this. But when we do all that, now we can produce a really great piece of content about what the best fire starter is. So we can put up what's the term that we're ranking for is best ferro rod, which is another word for fire starter.
Okay.
And now that we rank for that, well, we know now that we're already ranking for it. We're already getting traffic, and we're already sending traffic off to future competitors' Amazon listings. We have affiliate links on there. We can look in our Amazon affiliate account and see what's going on there. And we know specifically, okay, well, we're selling X number of fire starters every month now through these links. Well, if we make our own and put ours up at the top of that list, well, presumably we'll sell just as many of ours instead of our competitors. And a little bit makes a big difference here. You can be selling just a couple of units per day through this outside traffic, and it seems to make a huge difference compared to some of the traditional ways of doing it. And we're just using, a standard Amazon affiliate link where they're not super URLs. We're not trying to get people to do search, find, buys, or any of these types of gimmicks. They're just standard Amazon affiliate links that you would use if you were just running an affiliate site. They're not, going to a store page and trying to stuff them with keywords and all these different things. We want to do it again in a white hat way. But what we find is Amazon loves outside traffic. I think that if you're sitting in a boardroom somewhere and you're trying to think of how am I going to fix my algorithm in a way that people can't game the system, this is one of these ways where, if you got a lot of outside traffic coming from multiple sources to a product and people are buying the product through those links, there's a pretty darn good chance that this is a product that we should rank higher than others because there's a lot of interest out there in the world for this product. And it seems to make a big difference.
Well, just for those that are incredibly impatient in this world in which we live in, which is the majority of folks, how long is your process in you say, okay, well, fire starters, let's go ahead and write some good quality content. Let's buy some, competitor products, do some reviews, send them traffic. Let's see what happens while we develop our own, import it. We know that's going to take, months right there. So from beginning to end, when you are thinking about these new products and going about it this slow white hat way, how many months are we generally talking about here?
Right now, we're somewhere in the 12-month neighborhood.
Wow.
So quite a long time. But we're, I would say a year or two from now when we really hit our stride with this, it'll probably be 6 months where right now our focus, again, we have other brands, we have other things that we're working on. This is a long-term game. We're really working on building the authority at tactical.com first. And, but we also are trying to prove through our thesis, which is working very well. We have a couple of products that are kind of runaway hits now because of this strategy. And so we know that it's working, but we're still taking a slow, methodical approach to the number of products we're going to launch and making sure we're doing it right. But right now it's taking us the better part of a year to kind of get through the entire process. I think we can get that down to 6 months. So eventually we can say, okay, well, here are some products we think that we want to launch. It takes a team of people to write all the articles and get the content up there. We know that we're ranking. We know we're selling stuff. Okay, now let's go develop a product. I think we can get that down in the 6 month range.
And how many products do you think you'd launch on an annual basis? Do you just do one at a time? So when you get down to 6 months, you're doing 2 a year? Or would you...
Yeah, right now we're looking at doing 3 or 4 next year. So in 2021, that's our goal. We already have 2 products identified that we know we're going to do, and we think we can do a third and possibly a fourth. And so, it's kind of slow going right now. We're not trying to add tons of new products. It's a very different strategy than we've taken in years past. But the following year, I think, will be the year that we really kind of unleash this and go a little bit crazy with it.
Do you have Tactical.com and Tac9er under the same LLC?
We do.
You do. And so you're using the same QuickBooks account. Can you differentiate the revenue streams from Tac9er affiliate revenue versus Amazon revenue on Tac9er?
We do. Yeah, we do keep track of it separately. Our thought is that when we go to sell this business, this will have to go as a pair. It'll be very difficult to convince a buyer to buy the Tac9er brand without having control of Tactical. And so we think that our strategy is to sell both at the same time. I'm going to be very upset if it doesn't work out that way because that we've had commingled things before and had to break it apart, and it's a nightmare. But our thought process is that these kind of go together. You're going to get a content site along with a brand, and that should be something that's pretty powerful. One that is in this space or that understands this idea of content drives revenue.
Yeah, no doubt. I think that buyers will see it as a higher value because it's less risk because you're driving well, you're generating revenue from multiple revenue streams, but you're also boosting your Amazon traffic from the outside content source. How do you measure? How can you tell on inside your seller account that this outside traffic is in fact boosting your organic traffic inside of Amazon and producing revenue?
There's definitely a leap of faith, or like some thing from like in your mind where you have to like kind of bridge this gap, right? Because the affiliate revenue and the number of sales that we're seeing there don't equate to the results that we're getting. The results are amplified. But I mean, I've been selling on Amazon since 2015. We've sold tens of millions of dollars of stuff on Amazon and have tried every trick in the book. And I can tell you that under normal circumstances, we wouldn't be able to be the second best selling tactical glove on Amazon without doing this. Like the things that we've done as far as a launch process and other things that we've done don't make sense. It wouldn't happen. But we rank on Google for tactical gloves, and that traffic is coming through. And we know that we're selling some tactical gloves through our outside traffic. And Amazon seems to really be favoring this to the point where we've had to raise our price substantially on the products just to try to keep them from going out of stock. Every time we keep on going through this, we keep on struggling. Like right now, we were just out again. It's just really frustrating. And we're ordering what we think are aggressive amounts, but at one point, like I said earlier this year, just a couple of weeks ago, we were the number 2 glove on Amazon. And I think that if we had left the price where it was and the momentum was going the way that it was, we were going to get that number 1 bestseller badge, which is kind of crazy. If you think about the number of gloves that sell on Amazon, how competitive this space is, how many freaking tactical gloves there are out there, to be able to be like the number 1, 2, or 3 glove on Amazon is a huge accomplishment. And I'm pretty certain that it's because of our efforts with tactical.com.
Yeah. For the folks that don't know who the hell Mike Jackness is, I keep hearing this. I've known you since what, 16 or 17. I can't recall when we met. It was at one of Ezra's events. I think I saw you. I had to go over and say hi. I've seen you speak. You talked about Klaviyo email marketing at one point. Colorit was driving most of its revenue from, email marketing, and eventually Amazon just grew and took over. It seems like almost everything you touch, and I know that sounds, I don't know, make like I'm boosting your ego here a little too much, but it grows, it flourishes, and it's a strange thing because so many times the stuff that you do isn't about yourself. You're helping others through, the work that you do and sharing your experiences and screwing up and succeeding again and showing people you're actually doing it and then working with them and helping them as well. But enough about that. I don't want to blow your head up too much. You're a humble guy. So
not everything works. Like I gotta tell you, like there's definitely things that we do that fail miserably. I mean, I think one of the things that makes us different is we talk about these things, right? I mean, it's one of the things that frustrates me about the podcasting or the marketer space that people are selling, e-commerce courses and stuff. Yeah. Gurus, thank you, was the word I was looking for. Yeah. I mean, very rarely will you hear any of them say that they've done anything wrong or that something ever goes wrong. I mean, this is not an easy business. E-commerce is not an easy business. There's lots of challenges. I was just saying, we're talking about how we didn't quite get it right and didn't have enough inventory which really hurts you, even though we thought that we had enough. And so I think that's the differentiator, and I don't know. I mean, I think that it's a combination of I'm in my 40s now. I've been through this rodeo a bit. We were talking about, I quit my job in 2004. You probably are similar. You don't really have that same ego issue or feel like you have as much to prove necessarily. And I do enjoy helping people. And this is a very rare business. Everything else I've done in the past, it's very difficult to help someone without hurting you. It's kind of, everyone's going after the same 100 jelly beans, let's say, and you want to get as many of those jelly beans as you possibly can. And so do your competitors. But in e-commerce, I mean, how many people listening to this are selling tactical gloves? Probably one, maybe none. And neither one of us are ever going to sell all of the world's tactical gloves. I mean, just kind of be realistic. And so, yeah, I'm sure that in some scale somewhere that this stuff hurts. I mean, I know people have copied our products and ideas. But if that's the best you can do is just copy, then you're probably not going to be successful anyway. And so it's a rare space where you can help people without hurting yourself. And it feels good at a certain point of life. I mean, I don't really need much anymore. Like I'm very happy and content with our life and what we have. And there's definitely a satisfaction of creating stuff for others. I mean, we try to do that for our employees. We try to do that for our peers in the e-commerce business.
Yeah, folks, go to EcomCrew.com. Check it out. I looked at the blog post this morning. Former client of ours, friend of yours, friend of mine, Joe Cochran, and I were chatting last week about an issue and a challenge that he had. And lo and behold, there's a blog article solving that issue and challenge right there. I know you work with Joe on that, and he's part of EcomCrew. Let's talk a little bit about the trends for 2021. I know there's just been so much that has changed, especially in the Amazon world. With I've talked to folks that have just had inventory sitting, waiting to be processed for 3 months. What's going to happen? What in your crystal ball, looking out to 2021, assuming that of course vaccines get distributed and the world gets sort of back to normal? Do you think there's going to be a reversal of the growth? Do you think it's going to change dramatically? What do you see coming up in 2021 here?
Yeah, I don't see a reversal of the growth. I think that depending on who you talk to or what you read, there's a variable between like how long it takes to develop a habit. Some people say 3 weeks, some say 3 months, let's say, but no one says 3 years, right? It's always something relatively short. And so a whole another group of people that were late to adopting ordering things online have now joined the party. And this is now not the way that it is right now, but this the way that it is. Like people are not going to go back to, let me go shop at the mall. And on top of that, I mean, the numbers are kind of staggering with the number of small businesses right now that are folding. Depending on what you read, the statistics are somewhere between 1 in 4 and 1 in 5 small businesses are closing. It's 20 to 25%. I mean, it's an insane number. And so even if you wanted to go back and shop at these local retailers, they're not going to be there anymore. And so again, it's going to further solidify the whole online thing. I don't see it going backwards. I really don't. I think that it's just going to continue to get bigger and bigger. It's kind of a runaway machine at this point.
Yeah, I agree. I think we're in the right place in terms of the world that we live in the online world. I think about curbside pickup, right? We talked about this before we started recording. I haven't been out to dinner, I think maybe twice since March, right? It's been 9 months. I've come to really, really love curbside pickup. I still go to my favorite restaurants, but I just drive up and they bring the food out to me. I don't want that to go away when this pandemic is over. So, please, restaurants, keep the curbside pickup, because I've developed a habit of just wanting to pull up and have you hand my food out to me and then drive home and eat my living room while watching a good Netflix show or something like that.
Yeah, I think it's all, personal. I actually really miss going out to restaurants. Like we do a lot of curbside pickup right now as well, but it isn't just about the food. It's the whole social thing. It's, you're going out, someone else is doing the dishes, but usually we go out with friends, and I do miss that. And
I miss the human factor,
the atmosphere, the human factor.
I want to shake somebody's hand. I want to give them a hug. I want to give somebody a good tip and see a smile on their face. I miss that aspect of it, and I look forward to it coming back. In terms of the online space, what do you, big picture, biggest trends, what do you see coming up in the next 12 to 24 months?
Yeah, I mean, I just see e-commerce continuing to grow. I think that some of the trends we're going to see, I think that Amazon might slow down a little bit in terms of their growth rate, the percentage of the pie that they're grabbing. Yeah. I think that, they're going to continue to grow on a great trajectory, but they've been going from like they're 30% of e-commerce to 40%. Now they're like 55%. I don't know that they're going to go to 65% necessarily. I think that they might be capping out a little bit. I think that some of that is just, they've gotten a little bit cocky. I think that they've lost touch a little bit with what made them successful to begin with. I can tell you, objectively as an Amazon shopper, I don't buy as much stuff on Amazon any longer that I used to.
Where do you shop? Where do you go? What's next?
Shopify stores or whatever other online stores. But there's two things I won't buy off of Amazon. I will not buy like high-end electronics. So like think like an iPhone or a DJI like drone or an Oculus, things that I've purchased in the last year. I'm just thinking about like, I won't buy those off Amazon anymore because I don't trust that they're authentic or brand new. And also like supplements, I've been taking, a decent number of like health supplements. I don't trust Amazon for that either.
Why? Because of climate control, things of that nature, or because of
No,
the seller, who the seller might be?
who the seller might be, and just, and so, I buy those from a more reputable outlet that I know I'm getting a sealed fresh bottle. I'm not going to get something that like had someone already had their hands through it or something. I mean, Amazon will take a return of 100 pills and there'll be 95 left in the bottle and you'll never know or whatever. I mean, they have some practices I think they need to clean up.
You're scaring me because I buy my shut eye from Amazon every month. I'm going to have to check the seal next time I get a bottle.
I don't know. But that's just me. I mean, obviously not everyone feels this way, but I still buy a ton of stuff off Amazon. So don't get me wrong. I think that there's going to be room. Like, I think that the next good lane is, Shopify stores that are catering to things like this, things that are catering to food or health products, maybe electronics, maybe not so much because that's going to be like the DJIs of the world. These are multi-million-dollar companies, or niche, like more artisan type things, or a niche. I was just trying to think of one off the fly here, like our buddy Andrew Darian, who runs e-commerce field. He had right channel radios. I think that's another, he sold that a couple of years ago. I think that's the type of a site that will continue to flourish because it's a very technical in nature site. There's a lot of things that Amazon will never do. They're never going to be able to provide the customer service and the information on their site about all these like little details about a right channel, CB radio.
Yeah.
You might still go to right channel radios and get the information and ultimately buy it on Amazon. I think that will continue to happen. Unfortunately, that's kind of a part of the game.
Yep.
But I think that these types of sites are going to do very well. I also think that Shopify is on the cusp of having a pretty major breakthrough in terms of providing more value to their clients. Basically, almost making like an Amazon S type platform where you can go and buy a variety of products that ship from a bunch of different Shopify stores, and think of the merchant first, instead of Amazon, which thinks of them first. And
so you think your Shopify is going to have their own fulfillment centers, just like Amazon does?
They already do. They already have a Shopify fulfillment. And I think they can make a platform, shop on Shopify.com or whatever it is. That's basically an aggregate of all of their Shopify stores, and you can go on there and buy a bunch of random stuff.
So no to eBay, Target, Walmart, those are not the third-party platforms that you think people should focus on after Amazon. It's Amazon and then their own Shopify stores.
Well, I mean, this is kind of where it goes into the it depends factor. I mean, eBay, I think, is worth it no matter what. They still continue to be like 3 to 5% of our sales. So, it kind of moves the needle. It's relatively easy. Walmart, I think, it's worth it from the perspective of they're sinking so much money into it and they're trying so hard that if you can be an early adopter or something that does take off, it's probably worth at least having a presence there for at least your top selling items. And we can't ever seem to get even a 1% of our sales through Walmart, but if they're going to continue to sink billions of dollars into it, we're going to continue to try to be there when it does take off. Target, I think, has some prospects as well. These are all relatively easy things to add, right? I mean, they're third party selling platforms that you just kind of upload your feed and you're good to go. Shopify is a little bit more work, so it depends on the size of your business and your fulfillment network and things like this. That if it's worth it for you to do it, and so try to take those things with a grain of salt, depending on what you're selling and where you're at in your life cycle.
Shopify has become a ad hoc term like jacuzzi now. Is it really, when it comes to platforms to develop and host your websites, is it your top recommendations? Use Shopify, no WooCommerce, no WordPress, nothing like this. Your favorite for selling physical products is Shopify. That's what you recommend to all your.
Yeah, I use the analogy of this is going to date me as well, but beta versus VHS. Beta was.
What are those things? No,
what are those things? Beta was a better technology, but VHS won. right? And so I think that Shopify is in the same category. I don't necessarily know that it is the best platform technically. We used to use BigCommerce in the past. We've used WooCommerce as well. Um, all of them have their advantages and disadvantages depending on what you're selling and the volume and a bunch of other little factors. But Shopify is where we have standardized everything that we're doing because they're clearly the market leader. Every new plugin comes out for them. All the support is there. All the markets focused on them. They have won this battle, this war.
And so, and I don't mean to put you on the spot. Hopefully the answer is yes. So tactical.com is a Shopify platform.
So tactical.com is WordPress. It's just content. We're not selling anything on there.
Okay.
Anything that we do sell, so our free plus shipping offers and the few things that we do advertise and sell through there are all on Shopify.
Okay. Is Shopify a reasonable platform for someone that is going to do content and just blogging and building an affiliate site? Or should they really focus on WordPress in your opinion?
Yeah, this is another one of these like interesting things that we get all the time. Like this is probably the number one question that comes up on EcomCrew. It's so weird. I think because our latest course, actually, we have a course that goes through just how to do all this outside traffic stuff. And so the number one question that keeps on coming up right now is, should I do my content site on WordPress or on my Shopify store? And so what I always say is like, it matters. And so for Colorate, we had it on Shopify. It's a fine platform to do it. We didn't want to have a separate content site just for coloring, but for the tactical space, we wanted a separate authority content site, just the content. And we're never going to focus on doing content on Tac9er. It's all the content is going to be on tactical.com. And so depending on what you're doing and your outlook, the answer is definitely it depends. But if you have a pure content site, that should be on WordPress. If you're a product first centric and focused company, then put your content on Shopify.
Gotcha. What's the name of the course that you just mentioned that you talk about?
I think it's called Outside Traffic, or it's a part of EcomCrew Premium. So with Premium, it's a subscription. You get all of our courses. We don't usually sell our courses.
How many courses do you have altogether?
We have 6 right now.
And this is the part, folks, where Mike's going to get uncomfortable because he's not going to talk about how good he is and what the courses are and things of that nature. He wants to give value, and I agree 100%, so that those in the audience are learning something right now. But what I want you to learn right now is the stuff that you can get either through EcomCrew Premium, which does come at a cost, or through EcomCrew. I think you've got some free courses as well, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, EcomCrew is another one of these like long game platforms, right? I mean, the podcast is free. I mean, so go consume podcast episodes. I mean, we've got 350 something episodes as a recording this. Decent amount of good content, I think.
And let me just, I've been on Mike's podcast. I've had him on ours, this one, and when we sold Color, we did a series of the process of selling Color, both on the Quiet Light podcast and on EcomCrew. And I got to tell you, mine was so much better. No, I'm kidding.
I agree.
The way that Mike did it was so much better. Are you still doing Under the Hood on Ecom on the podcast? So Under the Hood is a segment where they're diving into somebody's business and talking about it for the audience to hear, which I think is fantastic. And of course, dive into your own products as well. So you've got EcomCrew, which is a free platform. Listen to the podcast. Again, it's somebody that's been there, done that, and lots of people that are in the same space talking about their direct experiences. And then just after 2 or 3 years of that, maybe 3 years, you decided to go with EcomCrew Premium, which was the next level, right?
Yeah. And so the premium's like we started launching like one course at a time, and we were charging per course, which makes, you can just tell I'm not a salesy guy. I don't like trying to sell people. And, the conversation at EcomCrew, unlike our e-commerce sites, we literally think, how can we extract as much money from a customer as possible? Like, I don't think that's really dirty to be thinking. I mean, we want to increase our average order value. We want to do it obviously ethically, but with EcomCrew Premium, it feels weird because it feels like it's my peers, and we didn't want to just keep on selling them another course. So we just went to a subscription model. You pay one flat fee, you get all of our courses that we have. Every time we launch a new course, which is usually once or twice a year, you get that as well. You get unlimited email support. So whatever questions you have, we do 2 monthly webinars. You get access to everything, the Facebook group. It all comes together. Everything else that we have is free. And so, what we find is that people are typically kind of following us for 1 to 3 years before they sign up for premium, which is fine. Again, it's a long-term thing. When you feel like you need additional help, we're there. I would just encourage people to go check out all the free content between the podcast and the blog itself at EcomCrew.com. And when you're on there, depending on what article you're on, there's like always a lead magnet for free courses that we have. We have a free course on developing products and selling on Amazon. There's a third one that I'm not thinking off the top of my head, but and hopefully what basically happens, and I recommend people do this with all aspects of their life, and especially in e-commerce. If you can develop a relationship with people and not worry about getting a sale right this minute, it's where we had all our success. And that was how we built conglomerate. This multi-million-dollar company that we built from scratch and sold within just a couple of years was all built on give value first. I mean, we give away like over 1 million free downloads, or maybe even in millions of free drawings and content, and gave a bunch of value to customers, potential future customers, for free for a very long time, a lot of times before they ever bought anything from us. And over time, this starts to snowball because, let's say it's a 3-year process or 2-year process to do this stuff on average. Once you kind of hit the 2-year mark, it just starts to build on itself and build on itself and build on itself. And that's one of the reasons we were able to build that. That's how we built the EcomCrew. Yeah.
And in the sale of conglomerate, you just built a great business that grew over time. Your philosophy worked, right? We know Matt is doing great with it. Matt's the buyer of the business, folks.
Yeah.
And Mike and I are still in touch with him on a regular basis. And it's just doing tremendously well, which, some people that sell their business could think, oh, gee, I should have held on to it for longer. But the goal is to sell it at a certain point for a good value for both you and the owner of the new owner of the business. And so It's worked out very well for both parties. And as you can tell, Mike's got another business or 5 other businesses now.
Yeah.
One that's increased traffic 10 times so far this year.
I wouldn't want to sell the business and then hear that it imploded, right? That would feel awful. And so I'm glad that they've more than doubled it since we sold it.
So it's an interesting philosophy that those that are just starting out in this e-commerce world, I really want you to listen to, because what Mike is doing and what the people that are best at what they do is helping first, whether it's in Mike's situation with the podcast, giving away free content, helping people, sharing his experience, or in the business itself of example he just gave of conglomerate. There's a way for you in your own business to do the same thing and give more to your customers with expecting nothing in return. You're going to get something in return. The more people you help, the more people are going to think about you when they decide to buy a product. In our case with QuietLight, the more people we help, the more people we reach, the more people have better businesses with a better exit someday. And guess what? They'll probably think of QuietLight when it comes to that. Mike does the same thing with EcomCrew Premium, with a podcast, and with every brand that he owns. So check it out. Mike, remind me, it's EcomCrew.com.
Yep.
Links there to Premium, to the podcast, to the blog post, to the courses, to just about everything that somebody could possibly need, right?
Yep. And it's EcomCrew.
No.
One thing I regret, I never thought that people would think of spelling with 2 M's, but I get a lot. Is it EcomCrew? Crew? I'm like, no, it's just 1 M. So
it's funny because at the beginning you heard me mention Ecom Law Group, and Ecom Law Group is with 2 M's.
Is that right?
Versus the EcomCrew is with 1 M. So spell it however you want. Look at Mike Jackness, EcomCrew. You'll eventually find him.
It goes against one of the things that I'm really adamant about when naming a business is never make it so it's complicated or tough for people to remember. So conglomerate, can't screw that up. Wild Baby, very difficult to screw up. Tactical.com, that's hard to mess up. Ice wraps, again, just one easy word. We own treadmill.com before that. These are all things that are very easy to remember. And EcomCrew, we kind of screwed up, and I realize now that it isn't guaranteed to be with just 1 M, and we don't. I think we do own the 2 M version, and it redirects though.
So I can type in either then. So can you folks. Go to EcomCrew.com, check out the podcast, the blog post, all this good stuff. And I think is the EcomCrew Premium open for membership right now, or is there a waiting room sort of thing, a waiting list?
Yeah, it actually isn't open right now. You can just get on the list. When you click on Premium, you can get on the list, or you can email support@ecomcrew.com. Honestly, like when people email us and ask, we usually figure out a way to get them in.
Yeah.
But the main idea is that we launch it once a quarter. There's a couple of different reasons why. First of all, just from a marketing standpoint, we found that whenever there's scarcity, things do better. Just being completely transparent and honest about that. But also, it helps Dave and I prepare for the flood. Typically when someone signs up, there's just much more demand, and we were finding that throughout the course of the year, there was just never really a break in that, which as business owners is tough. You got other things going on. You want to provide good service. You go on vacations or whatever. And so we coordinate our schedules and we know, okay, we're going to launch Premium at this particular time. And so for, the next couple of weeks, we need to be all hands on deck and prepared to deal with more questions now than typical. We see a very steep drop off in support requests for after someone's a new member. They ask all their initial questions and then they kind of trickle in after that. So anyway, that's why we do it that way.
Makes total sense. You need to take care of those that join because there's going to be a lot of questions. You don't want to be overwhelmed. Yeah. I think, folks, the most successful entrepreneurs I've seen over the last decade in this space, back in my day, I sold mine in 2010. These things didn't exist. We didn't have forums, Facebook groups, premium memberships, things of that nature for the most part. It was me and my developer, and all we did was yell at each other. He wanted me to spend a lot of money on developing things, and I really didn't want to do it. So we yelled at each other. He's a good guy. We survived. We got through it, and I sold my business, and he's still doing great. But today, the most successful entrepreneurs that I know are members of something like this, whether it's, you mentioned e-commerce fuel earlier with Andrew Udarian. I always like to say it's Yoda-Rainen, but we'll pronounce it how you want. Nice. Or other memberships. Join something, folks, because if you've got people to reach out to that are in the space that you can share your experiences with, it's going to help you grow. And it's okay, as Mike has given perfect examples of. He talks about Colored, he talks about Tech9er, he talks about Wild Baby. It's okay to talk to other people about your brand and your business. There are a few snakes in the world that are certainly going to take it and try to compete with you. Don't worry about them. Focus on the positive things and growing your business. I think it will benefit you in the long run for sure. If
you're afraid to tell other people about what you're doing, that happens a lot when I'm at conferences. I'm like, what do you sell? Oh, no, I can't tell you. Then you don't have a real business, right? You're doing that thing I was talking about before. You're doing what works right now type of thing, where you found something in Jungle Scout and you found some tricky way to get the thing to rank right now. Think about the longer term. You should be able to be proud of what you sell and what you do and tell the world about it. And so just another piece of advice.
And we love Jungle Scout and Greg Mercer, by the way, folks. And one of the other things I saw on your blog, and we're supposed to end this podcast, and I keep talking. One of the other things I saw was, a recent review of software that you subscribe to. And so again, folks, just go to EcomCrew.com and check it all out. Michael, thank you so much for your time. I appreciate it.
Thank you, Joe. You good, my friend. Stay safe out there.
You too.